Hi, welcome back to Mediocre Arts and Crafts. Today I'm going to take you through how I created this shaker card without using foam and using a circle punch rather than a die cut machine. Let me take you through it. To get started on this shaker card, we are going to need a few sheets of cardstock. You can use whatever weight. I'm using 110-pound Nina. And I'm also using this Under the Sea pack from Echo Park, this 2.5-inch eCake Success circle punch, some art glitter glue, and you're going to need some acetate. You can see the glare, you probably, yeah, there you go. So you use whatever acetate you have in your stash. We we'll be using a mix of sequins today to fill the shaker. You can also use those little polymer clay bits, and I'll link those below. And I think that is all of the, then we're going to need like a, paper trimmer, a ruler, a bone folder, those kind of things. Let's get started. So first we're going to start with the standard A2 size card base. I'm using one in this orientation. It is one sheet of 8.5 by 11 sliced down the middle and then scored at 5.5, and so your card measures 5.5 by 4.25. And then we're going to cut a number of sheets of cardstock that are a little smaller than your card base. So it might be hard to tell the difference here, but you have your card base, and then you want this to be about 1/4 inch shy on both sides. So I have 1/8 inch here, 1/8 here, and here and here. So this is 5.5 by 4.25. So this will be 5.25 by 4. So 5.25 by 4. You are going to make 8 of these, so that means 2 full-size sheets of cardstock cut down. So the next thing I'm going to do, and you're going to do the same thing to all 8 sheets, I'm going to go ahead and line this up in my trimmer just so it's flush against the edge and I can get a true measurement. And this is 4 inches, so I want to draw a line down the very middle of this piece of paper at 2 inches. So I'm just going to grab my ruler. You can use probably any straight edge for this because I'm not really measuring, I'm just marking down the middle. And you can use a pencil. These lines from the pen are going to be hidden, so you don't have to worry about cleaning them up or erasing or anything like that. Oh. Barely see it. Let's try again. Okay. So now we are going to take our punch and turn it upside down. Now that we have our punch turned upside down, what we want to do is turn it the right way, put our paper in, and this line is just going to help us identify the middle of the sheet. And we want to push the page in all the way to the end of the punch, so the punch stops it. Kind of center it, and I went ahead and I just kind of measured to make sure I have about a 1/2 inch on this side and a 1/2 inch on this side, and I'm just going to go ahead and punch, making sure that it is flush against the back end. There you go. So you're going to do this for every single sheet that's not your card base. So now I have my stack of cardstock that has a hole punched in the same area on each page. So we are going to just glue it down. We're going to glue them to each other, and what's going to be important here is not only that they line up here, you know, along the sides, but we want to make sure that the circle is even. So we know the circle is all the same size. We are going to make sure that they kind of lean into each other and are all stacked cleanly on top of each other. You can kind of see where we're getting here. With my card base, I can tell that you can tell that you have a little bit of give on each side. That's why we cut them down a little bit. So if it happens that you have one sheet of this that is that's out a little further, it's going to be fine. Generally it should only be out just a little bit, but if so, we can cut this down and it's going to be covered up. So we want our circles to look like one solid circle, one solid punch once we get it glued down. So let's do that. Okay, now I'm going to take my acetate sheet and I'm just going to rough cut it. You can use your trimmer for this or scissor. You don't have to do a full sheet if you don't want to. You can just do, you know, enough, like a little square or circled enough to cut around your window. I think that in order to kind of keep everything aligned, I'm going to try to cut this at 4 by 5 1/4, just like these sheets of paper are. So I'm going to pull out my trimmer again, and I think my trimmer is going to be okay for this. It probably depends on the size or thickness of your acetate, whether or not your paper trimmer will cut it. Also, usually if you have a larger EK punch, the EK punches go through acetate pretty well as long as it's not super thick. So I'm gonna do 4 this way. And then 5 1/4 this way. You may have noticed that when I was gluing the windows together, these cardstock sheets, I tried to put glue as close to the circle punch as I could, in case whatever you put in your shaker gets stuck in between the sheets. I didn't want it all to fall down to the bottom and you end up with no shaker bits in the window. So the other thing here is that this particular way to make shaker cards is not great for fine glitter. Fine glitter, if you use it, it will get kind of caught in between the seams a little more than, of course, if you use foam. And so that's why I've chosen not even to use the chunky glitter, but I'm going to use sequins and whatever else I have in my stash. Sometimes I use beads and things like that to put in my shakers. So this part is done. So now I have my card base. And what I did is I took this same punch, I went through the paper pack, and I found something that I like to go in the window. So this is going to be glued to the base behind the window, and then the shaker elements will be in front of it. So now I'm just going to decide, that's upside down. Now I'm going to decide what orientation I want this in, and I'm going to have to figure out how to get it in there. I have one extra sheet of this, so I think what I'll do is I'll use it as a guide to show me where I need to put this little piece of paper. So these guys, I guess, go up, over. I'm just going to glue it. It's going to end up where it ends up. It's a pretty cute scene though, and they're fish, so they don't have to be, you know, exactly straight. I just glued my hand right there too. Okay. Awesome. This is where I'm going. Now, if you have something that is staticky that you want to put in your shaker, make sure that you use a static tool. You can use the bag. Or I prefer this one. It takes a little longer than the bags, but it does, for me, it makes a less of a mess. It's probably more an operator issue than it is the tools, but that's what I prefer. So I'm going to go ahead and get the elements out that I'm going to put in my shaker. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take one of my water drops. You can see the glue all over my hands. And I'm going to glue it right about here. So it's partially on the white and partially on this fish that you can only see the bottom of. But I think that's going to be cool to have it just stationary inside the shaker. And I do like to usually put at least one or two pieces of something that that are glued to the background of the shaker. That way, you know, when it's sitting flat, there's a little more interest. So there's that. And let's see, I'm gonna put in my sequins. Okay, so now I'm just gonna put my sequins in here. Try to keep them in the middle-ish. And this might be too many. Before I glue the rest down, I'll just kind of take a look and see. Because I still want that picture to fall through, or to show through. Yeah. All right, I think that's it. Do have a tendency to overfill. So now we're going to take what we've built here and just take a quick look. It's gonna be great. So I am going to go ahead and glue this down. And when you glue it down, you just want to make sure that you give yourself that 1/8 of an inch and kind of even it up in the middle. There should be 1/8 of an inch of the card base showing on all 4 sides. So while that dries, I'm going to go ahead and I chose this sheet out of the Under the Sea Echo Park pack. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't get a window into this guy that matches. So this is that leftover piece that I had, and I think what I'm going to do is kind of line it up here. And I'm going to punch that out. If you're really worried about it, you could put some repositionable adhesive here, the glue or the tape, and it would allow you, to kind of make sure that they're even. So you still kind of have to pay attention. All right, there it is. I'm gonna go ahead and glue it down. Okay, to finish this card, I'm just going to put a few more of these water drops on. I'm finding it easier to put the glue on the surface and then put the drop on top than it is to glue the drop and then try to figure out where it goes. And they are slippery, so if you put too much pressure on them, it's gonna wander away. So you can see the glue here, but the glue is gonna dry clear, and just like this one up here, it dried clear. Here, I think. Probably one more. Probably right about here. No, no, no. There, there. So there it is, my no foam circle punch easy shaker card using the Under the Sea paper pack from Echo Park. If you enjoyed this video or just like this paper, consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.